Boba Fett was regarded as the best bounty hunter during the Imperial era, but despite his reputation of an expert hunter and killer, he had a soft spot within him as he held a deep love towards those he considered his family. So when someone kissed Boba Fett's wife right in front of him, why did the honorable bounty hunter let the man go free with his life when anyone else would have likely been riddled with blaster bolts? Well, it had to do with the two's brotherly-like relationship with each other, as they both shared a connection to Jango Fett before his untimely demise. Prior to the death of his father, Boba was constantly trained by Jango Fett to learn the ways of bounty hunting. One day, Jango was ordered by Count Dooku to hunt down a target of vital importance to him, someone who could potentially threaten the entire clone army operation the two were working on at Kamino. While at first Jango was unaware of who the target was, initially dismissing any details on his target beyond his location, he soon came to realize the reason he was such a danger to Dooku's plan. His target was a clone who had escaped from Kamino to live his own life. Although the idea of having to eliminate one of his own clones took a toll on Jango, he completed the jobs he was hired to, leaving only a corpse behind of a man whose only crime was the pursuit of freedom. But then came the true punch in the gut. The clone had a son, who the bounty hunter had now orphaned due to his actions. Overwhelmed with the guilt of ruining a child's life, Jango came to set up a secret account in his name to send funds to the child as he grew up, believing it was the least that he could do. The infant would grow up to be Conor Freeman, and his existence was completely unknown to Boba for many years until one day he was notified of his deceased father's secret inheritance fund dedicated to the boy when told by his banker. Around the same time, Freeman had acquired a bounty on his head after getting himself in a gambling debt to a crime lord, so Boba took the job hoping to get to him first before any other hunters and uncover the mystery as to why Jango had set up a credit fund for him. Shortly afterwards, Boba was able to capture Freeman and question him over what he knew of Jango. At first, Boba assumed Freeman was his long-lost brother, believing he was Jango's son. But Freeman set the story straight, revealing how Boba's father had murdered his own dad a long time ago. Freeman also came to believe that the inheritance fund set up for him was in fact from his own father, not Jango, to which Boba laughed, questioning how a simple clone could acquire so much wealth. Offended to hear his father belittled like that, Freeman came to insult Boba's own father Jango, claiming that he was no better than a cruel, heartless butcher. Hearing the man he looked up to and wished to make proud even after his death be insulted like that, Boba and Freeman got into a heated argument, which quickly turned into a brawl. As the two fought, a few other bounty hunters hired by the crime lord were able to locate and attack them while they were distracted with each other. The surprise attack resulted in Boba being severely injured and Freeman captured. While Boba survived his injuries, he came to question what to do now concerning Freeman. At first, he wanted to move on and let the young man meet his demise with the crime lord, but then the thought of letting down his father overcame him. Jango clearly had some reason for leaving an inheritance to the boy, perhaps to show that despite his cruelty as a bounty hunter, he still had a heart towards the innocents left hurt by his actions. And that for Boba Fett to truly live up to his father's legacy and make him proud, he had to honor what Jango had started, to ensure a safe and free life for Freeman. So it was decided, Boba would go to rescue the young man from the crime lord, and he did just that, intercepting the bounty hunters who had captured Freeman and carrying him away safely. But Fett was more than aware that if he did not settle the bounty with the crime lord, then Freeman would never be safe, so he deceptively captured him and took him straight to the nest of his enemy. When Boba arrived at the crime syndicate's base, he confronted the big boss. At first, the crime lord believed that the bounty hunter was just there to collect his money. But to everyone's shock, the opposite was true. Boba was willing to pay the full debt Freeman owed, which amounted to 500,000 credits. Even at such a steep price, Boba was ready to cough up the dough needed to secure Freeman's safety. However, the crime lord never cared about the money in the first place, simply wishing to kill Freeman to make an example out of him. Knowing they were in a tight pickle, Freeman came up with an idea out of desperation. He decided to place a bounty on the very crime lord who wanted him dead. With only 3 credits to his name now, he offered them to Boba as a payment for his service. At first, everyone in the room thought it was a joke. There was no way the most esteemed bounty hunter would take up such a low payment. But then, to everyone's shock, he accepted. As unknown to all of them, it was not about the money for Boba. It was about living up to the legacy his father expected of him. With that, Boba shot down the crime boss and all of his henchmen, fighting his way out of the base alongside Freeman. Once everyone but them was dead, Boba approached Freeman with a single demand, the 3 credits he owed him, as Boba Fett always collected. Nonetheless, the two parted ways after discovering each other's existence and relation, with Freeman having a more positive outlook towards Boba, who he initially viewed as a compassionless man. But they would soon meet again. One day, Freeman was ripped out of his ordinary life by Imperial stormtroopers who believed he was involved in multiple assassinations. This surprised Freeman as he had done no such thing. While under custody, he was soon rescued by a disguised Boba Fett, who came to explain to Freeman over what was happening. Boba had faked his death as he was marked for death by the governor of Concord Dawn, as the bounty hunter had killed his son many years earlier. Not only that, but the governor wished to eliminate Fett's family, which included his wife Cinta's and his daughter Islan. Because everyone believed Boba was dead, this allowed him to safely investigate who had hired the hit on him under the identity of Conor Freeman, as the two looked identical on their identitabs. As Boba continued his investigation, he left Freeman to protect the family, unaware that they were in fact the bounty hunter's family. While Freeman stayed with Fett's wife and daughter, he came to form a relationship with Cinta's, who came to see Boba in him. Not only did he look just like her husband, but Freeman displayed the best qualities of the man that she had fallen in love with, as he spent time with her daughter and told her bedtime stories. She came to kiss Freeman, who at the time was unaware of who she really was. Only later that night would he realize that she was in fact the wife of Boba Fett. But Cinta's calmed him down, explaining that while the two were still married, they had separated after she decided Boba was not good for her and their daughter. The next day, the governor and his private army arrived to wipe out Fett's family. To prepare, Cinta's and Freeman suited up in spare Mandalorian armor she had at her home. As the governor and his men attacked, they were shocked to see Boba Fett return from the dead as he arrived just in time to save his family. Surprised to see the bounty hunter still alive, the governor's men were picked off one by one as they were taken out by Boba alongside his family and Freeman. Once the battle was won, Boba approached the entrance of the bunker he knew his family would be in. As he got toward the opening of the hatch, he watched as his wife kissed Freeman. Knowing his wife and daughter were still alive, Boba simply walked away, understanding that that was all that mattered in the end. While the kiss sparked feelings inside Freeman, who wished to stay with Cinta's, she refused, telling him that he reminded her too much of Boba, and that was someone she wished to one day forget. As Freeman left the bunker and met up with Boba, the bounty hunter confronted Freeman over kissing his wife. He responded that she no longer considered him her husband, which Boba Fett accepted, respecting her to make her own choices now as they were no longer together. The two then made their way back to their separate lives, feeling like brothers now more than ever, despite their drastically different lives and unconventional relation.